The key to Operation Rising Lion is intelligence. And Israel's Mossad spy agency is known worldwide for its very deep and sophisticated intelligence and daring operations. Rising Lion appears to continue that tradition. Today, we saw video that seems to prove it. Mossad put online this video. It appears to show two of its own agents inside Iran before they then launched attacks. They launched drones and missiles from within Iran's borders. The spy agency also released two other videos. One shows a missile or a drone approaching a target, what looks to be a long-range missile. A second shows an attack on an air defense site. Now, nobody knows more about Israel's spy agency and its defense forces than my next guest. Dan Raviv spent 4 decades as a major network correspondent, and much of his career was based in Tel Aviv. He's written 5 books on Israel espionage, including Spies Against Armageddon, Inside Israel's Secret Wars. He's the host of the podcast, The Mossad Files. Dan, great to have you. So it's really unusual for Mossad to be posting video of its own operatives. First of all, let's just talk about that. Are they gloating here? Are they rubbing Iran's nose in this? What's going on?
Well, there's a lot going on behind that because, in fact, the Mossad has never done that before, Elizabeth. This is the first time that we discovered that, in effect, they have a press office. They put out these videos. In the upper left, you see a little circle there. It's the badge of the Mossad, which used to be totally secret, even its symbol, but they're kind of coming out of the shadow. But I think, in part, that's because the Israeli public needed a lot of reassurance. You know about October 7th, right? The massacre, the kidnappings, carried out by Hamas inside Israel. Well, since then, Israeli intelligence and the military are trying to tell the Israeli people, we've got this. We actually are absolutely fine. And so this is the Mossad kind of showing off. We don't know whether these men, by the way, are Israelis, because in the past, according to my sources, the Mossad has often used foreigners, yes, Iranians, of course, working for Israel. They do it for money. They do it because they're against the regime. But it really looks like they were part of weakening Iran, right? Opening the skies, in effect, for the Israeli Air Force by eliminating some of those air defense systems.
Well, whether those two agents were Israeli or were disgruntled Iranians who were working for the Israelis, for Mossad, how did they get drones and missiles across the border into Iran and then launch them at this precise Rising Lion attack? I mean, it's extraordinary to be attacked from within your own country.
Sure, I'm reminded, by the way, of what Ukraine did against Russia, right? Somehow smuggling trucks containing drones into Russia, using them to attack Russian Air Force bases, causing billions of dollars of damage to planes. So the Israelis did a similar thing. The smuggling can be done through overland routes or low-flying helicopters. It's not unusual for Mossad operatives to get into Iran. There are places to land, and yes, that even means the Israelis can set up a little secretive base. It appears that that's what they did. And by the way, those drones, I believe, were also used in some of the assassination attacks, pinpoint intelligence and pinpoint attacks that killed, as you've been reporting, so many Iranian military and Revolutionary Guard Corps officers.
We knew, I mean, they knew exactly where they were. We have footage and a picture of a single apartment blown up in a residential apartment building, the rest of which is still standing and fine. They not only knew they were at home or in that neighborhood, they knew exactly which apartment in that building they were in at that moment.
Oh, yeah, it's just clear that the Mossad has penetrated Iran to a very deep degree. You may recall that last year, the political head of Hamas was assassinated inside Tehran, right, in the Iranian capital. Again, a bomb explosion aimed at him.
Under his bed at the well-guarded guest house. It was a stunning attack.
Yeah, so the Mossad, really, they're monitoring all the neighboring countries. They've done a tremendous job in Lebanon against Hezbollah. You remember the exploding pagers and walkie-talkies, but also then a pinpoint airstrike that got the leader of Hezbollah when he was in a command bunker at some point. So that's what the Israelis are doing. They're showing their intelligence lead way over any other Middle East actor, as well as, of course, their Air Force is incredibly better than anyone else's.
Dan, what makes them so good at this?
I would say linguistic capabilities are a big part of it. All through the history of Israel, Israel's had great spies because, well, frankly, Jewish people moved to Israel from wherever. And in recent decades, they're born in Israel, but their grandparents were from Iran or Iraq or Yemen or those countries. They do some training to kind of bone up on the languages, and they'll even go into those countries for a year or two.
They have whole units. They have units who just go in undercover and live as Arabs, for example, in parts of the country. We were out of time, but just very quickly, because we only have 10 seconds left, but I find this fascinating. I can only imagine that part of the reason Mossad released those videos is the psychological effect that this is going to have on everybody still in Iran, wondering who on earth can I trust?
That's right. It scares the enemy, but again, it also cheers up the Israeli people after October 7th.
All right, Dan Raviv, great to talk to you. Fascinating, unbelievable.
Pleasure.
If this was written in a book, people would say the plot wasn't believable because it was so extraordinary. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.